Good evening, I'm Ian Hannamansing. Tonight, witnesses recall the moments before a sightseeing trip turned deadly.
Everybody started gasping. I was careening down, lost control.
3 killed, 14 critically injured in an Alberta ice field. What we know about how it happened. What's going on inside Canada's prisons? A CBC News investigation reveals sky-high COVID infection rates, and some say the fix is just as dangerous.
Basically, you are torturing people as a public health response.
You are looking at the most detailed three-dimensional map of the universe known to humankind.
Scientists boldly go where no one has gone before.
I never knew I could feel this way.
And the national interview with Gordon Lightfoot on crafting his greatest hits, what he regrets.
I created emotional trauma in a whole lot of people.
And living the life of a Canadian icon.
Is there anything left on your to-do list?
This is The National. We're getting a clearer picture tonight of the terrifying scene in Alberta's Jasper National Park when a bus full of sightseers flipped and rolled. 3 people were killed, more than 20 others were rushed to hospital. It happened at the Columbia Ice Field yesterday afternoon. The search now is for that one crucial detail, why. Rafi Boudjikanian with what an eyewitness saw.
And everybody started gasping a little bit when they saw the snow coach careening down, lost control.
In that terrifying moment, as that bus rolled down the side of the embankment, another busload of people could only watch. Vania Kurtulitsa, his wife and baby, were among them.
Yeah, I saw probably 2 to 3 people thrown out for the clear of the coach in a couple of different directions.
Of the 27 people on board, 3 died at the scene. 14 suffered critical injuries, mostly head and pelvis. All survivors were taken to hospital.
We're just feeling so fortunate today that we weren't on that bus, and we can't imagine what those people are going through right now.
This is the Athabasca Glacier in the Columbia ice fields. The ride to it, a slow drive that includes steep inclines, tackled only on foot or on buses equipped with all-terrain wheels. Kurtulitsa and his family were scheduled to be on the bus that crashed, but ended up with standby seats on an earlier one.
Efforts are currently underway to remove the vehicle from the scene.
From authorities, more questions than answers at the moment.
We're at the infancy stage of the investigation, and all steps are being taken to determine, together with our partner agencies, the cause of the rollover.
And to identify the victims and their next of kin. Lauren Johnston was also nearby and caught part of the rescue mission on camera.
So I remember just oh my goodness, when I realized it was actually upside down, and that was what the dust plume was that we saw there. It was crazy.
The company behind the tours has stopped all operations for now, offering its condolences to those who lost their lives and support, it says, for employees who were part of the rescue effort.
That's where our thoughts are right now, on the people involved, and so we're taking care of everyone. More than 24 hours later, the bus is still here, just off the side of the glacier. Police say it'll take specialized staff and equipment to retrieve the wreckage so they can push forward with their investigation. That could happen tomorrow. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Jasper National Park.
We heard one of the witnesses describe seeing that bus crash as he sat on another bus with his wife and young child. Here's a little more of what was happening just before.
And we were waiting for our turn to go back up the hill when we were waiting for that particular bus in question, the snow coach, to come down that embankment. Our bus driver was giving us the spiel, and he was telling us all about all the different features of the glacier and some of the facts, when everybody started gasping a little bit when they saw the snow coach careening down. My gut feeling was that it was very, very bad. I was shocked to hear that as many people survived it as possible, pleasantly surprised, obviously. But the initial impression of the accident was I don't know if anybody made it out. We definitely called it a close call day yesterday. It's definitely, I guess it gives you a little bit of pause when something like that happens, and you realize how fragile life is and how at any point in time it could be your time. And we've been doing a lot of thinking ever since.
Police gave an update today on the manhunt for Martin Carpentier, wanted in connection with the death of his two daughters last week in Quebec City. Quebec Provincial Police say they have now finished combing the forested areas near Saint-Apollinaire, about 40 kilometers southwest of Quebec City. The SQ says it's now looking into new information and will redeploy forces to other areas. But to protect the investigation, it says it's not going to share any more details at this time. The Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet personally addressed sexual misconduct allegations for the first time today, calling the claims made against him false. The allegations coming during a moment of reckoning in Quebec society. Today, hundreds of Quebecers marched against sexual violence. Jayla Bernstein is on that story tonight.
With his wife beside him, Yves-François Blanchet categorically denied ever having been guilty of sexual misconduct.
Jamais je n'aurais posé de tels gestes.
Never would I have done such a thing. It's completely against everything that I am, he said. I would be incapable of doing that. Earlier this week, accusations were shared anonymously on Facebook, alleging sexual misconduct in a Montreal bar in 1999, back when Blanchet worked as the manager for rock singer Éric Lapointe. CBC News has not been able to verify the allegations or speak with the person who made them.
Imaginez que ce soit vous.
Imagine if you woke up one morning to read you'd been falsely accused of vile acts, Blanchet said. Blanchet also said he knows people who are victims of sexual misconduct and that the system is imperfect.
Le grand défi est de rendre justice.
He said the challenge is to give victims of sexual misconduct justice without creating victims of defamation. The Bloc Québécois caucus has issued a letter of unanimous support for their leader. Blanchet is one of several prominent Quebecers named in a wave of allegations posted on social media. As the province grapples with all of this, hundreds of Montrealers filled the streets today to protest sexual violence.
We're empowered by, using our voices, and we're breaking silence.
Many here say they feel police and courts fail to properly support sexual violence survivors. This woman says she was raped, and while her aggressor was found guilty, it came at a cost.
You always have to talk about it. You can never totally forget. And after that, after 2 years, you're like, okay, now I can move on, but how?
Survivors say it's time to change how victims are treated. Jayla Bernstein, CBC News, Montreal.
Let's turn to the COVID-19 story in this country now. The massive loss of life in Canada's long-term care facilities is well known, but outbreaks at correctional facilities have also been widespread. Valerie Ouellette looks at the data showing that for many inmates, the sentence in the country's prisons was illness or death.
Pierrette Langevin's brother Robert was awaiting trial at Montreal's Bordeaux jail when COVID-19 hit. The institution went into lockdown in April. Then, in May, a phone call from the hospital. Robert was dead, a victim of COVID-19. It's a shock, she says. I never got to talk to him. How is it that he got so sick? Before he got sick, 72-year-old Langevin filed a complaint for better conditions in March, saying, "I don't want to die here. I'm human and I have rights." More than 600 inmates have tested positive for COVID-19 in a federal or provincial correctional institution, and 3 have died. A national data analysis by CBC News suggests that COVID-19 infection rates are up to 9 times higher among inmates than in the rest of the Canadian population.
Jail hotline, how can I help you?
Suhail Ben Sliman runs a hotline for prisoners. He's concerned about the practice of isolating inmates during the pandemic.
Basically, you are torturing people as a mean of or as a public health response.
CBC News also found at least 3,000 cases of inmates across the country placed in isolation, even in institutions with no coronavirus. In June, Canada's correctional investigator issued a report stating in part, "My office is looking at an overall lifting of restrictions on conditions of confinement. Rights need to be respected and restored." Staff and inmates based in several jails across the country tell CBC News basic distancing and mask wearing are not respected, testing is inconsistent, and those infected don't receive proper health care.
We don't even have the basic ability to wash their hands properly or have any type of PPE equipment. I'm concerned for my life.
Ontario says it has increased cleaning measures and provided inmates with cleaning products to keep their living areas clean. Correctional Services Canada told CBC that we have dedicated health services on site with the equipment needed to monitor and treat inmates. Despite the measures in jails, COVID-19 still proved deadly for Robert Langevin. Valérie Ouellet, CBC News, Montreal.
After weeks of steadily declining numbers, what might be a sign of change in some parts of the country?
When we examine recent trends in case reporting, there is some cause for concern.
Canada's daily case numbers are edging up as new hotspots emerge. This weekend, Montreal hit its highest daily total since early June. On Friday, officials linked at least 30 cases to patrons of reopened bars. In Ontario, Ottawa announced its biggest one-day spike since May.
If there's somebody who's positive for COVID and then they have a gathering such as at a private dwelling or a cottage, these are the scenarios where we're seeing spread.
Along with bars, that's a pattern across the country driving the numbers.
A greater proportion of our cases are now among what we call young adults. You know, those are less than 40.
We need socialization. We can't stay home for the next year or more. We need to figure out how to do this wisely.
It's clear bending or breaking rules, especially with groups indoors, carries risks both for the individual and the community. And for more on that, we're joined by infectious disease expert Dr. Isaac Bogosh, who today is somewhere in the woods in Georgian Bay. How are you?
Not bad, thank you.
Let's start, first of all, with these Montreal numbers. How concerned are you by what we're seeing there?
I'm a little concerned. Certainly, we're looking for a trend over time, and this small spike in cases is a red flag. We've got to pay attention to this. And if this persists, it would not come to anyone's surprise if there may be a public health change. For example, perhaps adding extra caution into opening bars or enforcing the number of people that are allowed into bars. But we have to be very careful here. We know that there's a growing number of cases among younger people, and we know that it's not all related to bars. It could be related to house parties and just other opportunities where young people socialize. So we need some better messaging targeting younger individuals.
And speaking of younger individuals, we're not that far away, depending on your perspective, from the reopening of the school year, or what ought to be the reopening of the school year. And so I suppose, Dr. Bogosh, it's really important that we get things right even now in the middle of the summer.
Absolutely, absolutely, because this can set the stage for how we are as a country come September, when children are supposed to go back to school. And of course, if there's a greater number of cases in the community, that puts schools in jeopardy, as there's just a greater probability of introducing COVID-19 into a school setting. So the key thing now is to set up the schools for success with good policies, but also to suppress community transmission as much as possible.
Dr. Bogosh, thanks for interrupting your weekend away and enduring all the bugs.
Oh, no problem. Anytime.
This weekend, Quebec became the first province to make masks mandatory. That follows citywide rules in places like Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa, something small groups of protesters opposed today. In some Canadian cities, protesters claiming mask rules were restricting their freedom. There is a growing body of evidence suggesting mask mandates limits the spread of COVID-19, mainly by reducing the spread of droplets exhaled by infected people. Worldwide, the number of people killed by COVID-19 has hit yet another milestone. More than 600,000 people have died at this point in the pandemic. Hong Kong responding to a spike of the virus by ordering that masks be worn in public there. South Africa now ranks as the 5th worst hit country in the world with 350,000 cases. That's about half of the cases on the continent. And while the numbers climb in the rest of the worst affected countries, Russia, India, and Brazil, the United States remains on top. But as Katie Simpson shows us, Donald Trump continues to insist it's not his fault.
2 weekends in a row now, the president has spent both Saturday and Sunday on his private golf course. Some downtime after downplaying the seriousness of COVID.
Many of those cases are young people that would heal in a day. They have the sniffles, and we put it down as a test.
In a Fox News interview that aired today, Donald Trump was challenged on some of his claims about the U.S. response to the pandemic.
I think we have one of the lowest mortality rates in the world. Well, we're going to take a look.
We had 900 deaths on a single day.
We will take a look.
This week.
Ready?
Trump called on his press secretary to get him the White House death rate numbers, which are based on rankings from the European Centers for Disease Control.
Do you have the numbers, please? Because I heard we had the best mortality rate.
The list he was handed did not include some countries that have a lower mortality rate than the U.S., though it's unclear if Trump was aware.
I hope you show the scenario because it shows what fake news is all about. Okay, go
I don't
ahead.
think I'm fake news, but we'll put
we'll
put our stats
You
on.
said we had the worst mortality rate in the world, and we have the best.
According to Johns Hopkins University, the U.S. has the 10th highest mortality rate when you look at the number of deaths per 100,000 people.
If we don't come together as a nation with national leadership, we will see more people die.
In Los Angeles, where people lined up for hours last week to get tested, the mayor says he's on the brink of issuing a new stay-at-home mandate. He's now calling on the White House to be more urgent in its messaging to the public.
We know this will be a marathon. Stop telling people this will be over soon.
Trump is said to be frustrated, with polls suggesting Americans are unhappy with the way he's handled the pandemic. A new ABC News Washington Post poll shows that Joe Biden, his Democratic presidential challenger, is 15 points ahead. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
Here are some of the other stories we're watching this Sunday night on The National. Democrats are demanding an investigation into government action in Portland, Oregon. Federal agents are accused of arresting demonstrators off the street without cause. The agents were deployed by President Trump in response to weeks of anti-black racism protests. The city's mayor wants the troops gone.
3 divisions full of police officers during COVID-19 working on alert for pink paint.
Black Lives Matter Toronto says the arrest of 3 demonstrators won't stop their activism. They were arrested for allegedly defacing statues of Egerton Ryerson and John A. Macdonald. The 3 are charged with mischief under $5,000. And turbulent weather across southern Ontario today. High winds and heavy rain poured down, and there was plenty of lightning. There were rare tornado warnings in parts of southwestern Ontario for a few hours. Tonight, a global team of scientists is showing us the universe as we've never seen it before. They have created the largest, most detailed 3D map that has ever existed. Tali Ricci spoke with a Canadian on the team to ask what this breakthrough might teach us.
We won't be traveling between galaxies anytime soon. But now, we do have a map. This is the largest, most detailed 3-dimensional map of the universe ever to exist.
Let's go on a journey.
It was created over the last 20 years, but it spans 11 billion years of cosmic history.
That's a lot to take in, so we asked one of the lead researchers, a Canadian, to break it down for us. It felt a little bit like this.
I was wondering if you could maybe teach me a little physics.
A little physics? So our map consists of the 3-dimensional positions of those galaxies. It's rather like if you had a map of Canada, but your map was only the peaks of the mountains.
Percival has dedicated 15 years to this project, working with more than 100 astrophysicists around the world. They used the Sloan Foundation telescope to create a map of unimaginable proportions.
If we take the distance from the Earth to the Sun as one unit, this map is 1,000,000 billion times larger than that.
Percival calls it a goldmine of information, and cosmologists like Cynthia Cheung are ready to dig.
The kinds of maps that they're making are helping us learn about the expansion history of the universe, and in particular to study what we think of as a growth spurt that's introduced by dark energy. That is the technical term for stuff in the universe that we don't understand at all.
But Percival says it's what we don't know that's most exciting.
I think the public should be excited that there's still things that are unknown in the universe. There are still things to discover. There's physics out there we don't know about.
Out there. That away.
to the future, where researchers like Percival hope to harness their achievements and make new discoveries. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
The Toronto Blue Jays are looking for a new home.
The players are kind of like in a flight holding pattern right now.
Up next on The National, what a return to play in the United States means for Canada's team. Plus, Gordon Lightfoot opens up about his life and career.
What did he say when he heard Record the Edmund Fitzgerald? What did Paul Simon say?
He said, I like it.
A conversation with the Canadian music icon in our Sunday interview. And later, back on dry land after 9 months alone at sea. How it feels to return to a completely new reality. We'll be right back.
That was the scariest night for me. I spiked to 104.5 fever.
That's Atlanta Braves first baseman Freddie Freeman with his harrowing account of getting through COVID-19.
I said a little prayer that night because, I've never been that hot before. My body was really, really hot. So I said, please don't take me. I wasn't ready,
Freeman was back on the field Saturday after a second COVID test came back negative. But this weekend, Major League Baseball reported 6 new cases for more than 10,000 tests of players and staff. Concern about the virus is drastically reshaping a season that kicks off later this week. Now that Canada has barred games in Toronto, Briar Stewart shows us how the Blue Jays will cope and who else is feeling the impact.
No need for a heads up when there's a fly ball these days. No one is in the stands, just some cardboard cutouts sitting in for fans. The Major League preseason is underway in the U.S., but no games will be played in Toronto this season.
That's tough. That's tough.
I don't think it's smart, having them go back and forth down to the States, so I was expecting it.
The federal government has banned the Jays from playing at home because officials believe the risk of COVID transmission is too high, particularly now that cases in the U.S. are surging.
We respect the decision. It's not hard to reflect and think about how well managed, how well led the virus has been throughout Toronto and Canada.
So the Jays will need a new home. They may play in Dunedin, Florida, where the team does spring training, or Buffalo, New York, where its AAA team plays.
Well, the Major League is set to begin games July 24th. The minor league has been shelved altogether. There are no games this season, and 164 stadiums like this one are sitting vacant in North America.
Well, the players are, I guess, kind of like in a flight holding pattern right now.
Rob Fay works for the Vancouver Canadians, a single-A team affiliated with the Blue Jays.
Baseball's been so focused on getting Major League Baseball back that I think what's really been swept under the carpet is minor league baseball. And all of these different players who, again, don't make a lot of money, they're trying to make their ends meet and support their young families as well. They're at home lifting weights, wondering what's going to happen this year.
We're living in an alternate universe.
As for the major leagues, the 60-game season will look different. No team dugout and no spitting. Players and staff are being tested for COVID-19 every 48 hours. In the past 2 weeks, 23 have tested positive. Despite that, the league believes it has enough precautions in place, and it's time to play ball.
And right up the middle.
Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
COVID-19 hasn't just changed lives in Canada, it has taken them by the thousands. Tonight, Rebecca Lowe remembers her parents whose long lives together enriched so many others.
My name is Rebecca Lowe. I lost both my parents, Wing Cheung Lowe and Siu Fong Chan Lowe, to COVID-19 within days of each other in April 2020. My parents were childhood sweethearts. They were born in Hong Kong and lived through the Japanese occupation during World War II. After Mom contracted tuberculosis as a teenager, she convalesced in the hills of Tai Po on the property of a Buddhist master named Chi Shang Sik. This is the view that Mom looked out to when she lived here. After Principal Sik established the Buddhist school here, she hired Mom to teach Chinese and mathematics and became our lifelong family friend. Dad worked as an assistant architect and helped with the school's design. Although my parents loved Hong Kong, they wanted us to have a broader education. We moved to Toronto in 1975. The move was a big change for Mom. In Canada, she suddenly became a housewife with 3 young children. Her lack of English made life even more challenging. Eventually, she found her identity again through part-time work and volunteering at Chinese heritage committees. Dad loved life in Canada. He took us on trips to Montreal, New York, and Niagara Falls in our huge Ford station wagon. We fed ducks in High Park, but we always took the TTC to the CNE and Center Island because Dad never paid for parking. Dad worked as a draftsman until the early 1990s. He also lectured on Buddhism at Toronto's Cham San Temple and other facilities operated by the Buddhist Association of Canada. After he retired, he became more devoted to Buddhist meditation and teachings. It was difficult to watch Mom and Dad decline mentally and physically when they reached their 80s. I will always think of my parents as a pair of butterfly lovers, forever together, flying to their great adventure in Canada with a young family, while never forgetting their roots in Hong Kong.
More than 8,800 Canadians have died after contracting COVID-19. We've gathered some of their stories online, and you can find them at cbc.ca/remembered. When we come back, the national interview with Gordon Lightfoot.
I created emotional trauma in a whole lot of people.
The Canadian icon on his biggest regrets and his biggest hits. That's next.
There's a Drake signboard right up there. All you gotta do is listen to his records, and you know why he's doing so well.
It seems no matter the type of Canadian music, Gordon Lightfoot is still connected. There he is, paying tribute to his neighbor, Drake. A moment from a recent documentary, If You Could Read My Mind. Lightfoot's contributions to Canada's music history are legendary. I had a chance to interview him in his home at the end of January and look back on his long career and how he feels now about some aspects of his past, including personal relationships. Here's some of that conversation.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gordon Lightfoot.
Let's make him welcome Mr. Gordon Lightfoot.
He is one of the most iconic Canadian musicians of all time. His songs, some 200 of them, weaved into the fabric of the country. Gordon Lightfoot has been performing for more than half a century.
Everybody's moving, nothing stays the same.
His sound helped define the folk scene explosion of the 1960s, a very Canadian star with international appeal. His songs have been recorded by a long list of music giants, from Johnny Cash to Neil Young, Sinatra to Elvis. Lightfoot even inspired an anthem of the disco era. Every song tells a story, from railways to romance. You can feel his words. The great Bob Dylan calls Lightfoot his favorite singer-songwriter and even helped induct him into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame.
I've known Gordon for a long time, and I know he's been offered this award before, but he has never accepted it because he wanted me to come and give it to him.
Lightfoot's storied career is now the focus of a new documentary on GEM, and he's not nearly finished. The 81-year-old has just released a new album and plans to tour once COVID-19 restrictions are lifted. I had a rare chance to talk to Gordon Lightfoot in his home just before the pandemic hit. So my first question is not a profound question at all. I'm just curious about this room. Do we call it the music room?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. It just looks fantastic. Tell me a little bit about this room. For example, there are 3 guitars that I guess 4 here. That one's a little battered, but that's your beloved one, right?
Well, sometimes your loved one can be a problem. It's an old guitar, and I found it years ago. I was staying at the King of the Road Hotel down in Nashville working on a record, and I found it in a record store or an instrument store, and bought it for a couple of $100, and Now it's my main Martin guitar for on stage.
And there's a little thing cut out that says, "Anger can kill you." Is that just a little reminder for you?
Yeah, it is. It
Yeah?
is. Yeah, I've got a short fuse too, you know, sometimes.
Still?
And, yeah, it reminds me.
Yeah. Because you seem like such a calm, gentle person.
Well, I try to stay that way. You know, it's part of my. I really try to be friendly and get along with people. You know.
Do you ever get tired of worrying just a little bit?
Let's talk about your new album.
Yeah.
One song kind of stands out because it's very playful on the album. I think it's called Just a Little Bit. And then there's some songs that are more wistful and maybe even a little melancholy on that album.
Songs of anguish in there. There's songs about his nightmarish song, but a guy's having a nightmare. He's dreaming and he's saying, at night I'm drifting on a sea of despair. I see a bimbo and there is no body there. You know, where are the girls in my life?
So that does seem to be a theme, right?
Yeah, it's always been that kind of a theme.
But you know, I think of the documentary, and you very explicitly talk about some regrets in that documentary in terms of relationships with women over the years.
I regret it very much. A lot of it. I created emotional trauma in a whole lot of people, and didn't really know that I was doing it at the time, but I was hurting people's feelings. I learned to be very careful about that after many years in the business. But the trauma that I have brought on to other people, I regret very highly.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about your music. And not just the new music, but the old music. And I was thinking to myself that somebody who's my age grew up with your music. I know your music so well, and I love it. But there are people who are watching this who maybe are new to Canada or are younger, you know, and they don't know your music. If we were to make a playlist, kind of the essential playlist of Gordon Lightfoot for some of those people to understand what should be on it, I mean, at the top of my list, I'd put If You Could Read My Mind.
I never knew I could feel this way, and I've got to say that I just don't get it. I don't know where we went wrong, the feeling's gone, and I just can't.
So let me throw out a few other names if I would put on the list, and you either tell me don't put it on that list or why you think it should be on it. Obviously, Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
I can tell you a couple.
Okay.
And okay, the Wreck, Sundown, Early Morning Rain,
Yeah.
Canadian Railroad Trilogy,
Absolutely.
Song for a Winter's Night, Carefree Highway.
Yeah. The only one on that list I hadn't thought of is Song for Winter's Night, but which you didn't actually write in Canada, right?
That was right when I was out on the road, yeah.
In the summertime.
Yeah.
But it sounds like such a quintessentially Canadian winter song.
The air is still in the silence of my room. I hear your voice softly calling.
One of the really cool things about you is, I mean, you've stayed in Toronto all this time, but also you really have explored rural Canada. Not a lot of people who have been #1 on Billboard's chart have also canoed through all these Canadian rivers and, you know, and enjoyed the wildlife there. Has it had an impact on you as a person? Has it changed you at all as a person, being in those places?
I never actually forget about meeting animals face to face in those situations. When you're standing looking at a musk oxen and he's like standing like 15 feet away from you looking at you,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I've written one of my best tunes on it. I wrote a song called Shadows up there one time. Wrote it the whole tune right on the trail.
There's a shadow on the moon and the waters here below do not shine the way they should. And I love you just in case you didn't know. Let it go.
There's an interesting story about that song, Shadows. Apparently your friend Bob Dylan was playing a show in Edmonton a few years back, and a fan shouted it out as a request. He knows it.
He knows that.
And he sang it. I mean, I know you've had this long relationship
with Bob Dylan.
Well, I mean, we had more fun just hanging out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like it was like more of a laugh than anything else, you know.
But that he would know your song so well and that a fan would know to shout that out in a concert, and in an instant he just adds it to a set. What does that say?
I know about that. I was quite surprised by that, actually.
The song that you wrote on a canoe trip.
Yes. So that's just the way it goes.
I mean, tell me about the connection between the two of you, especially in the 60s and 70s.
Well, okay, I remember years before the Woodstock Festival, just hanging out with all those guys and the wives of my first wife and Sarah and our children, all playing together.
And I think you had
our
lots.
kids played together.
Yeah.
Our children played together. At one point, my house in Rosedale here was like party central for a whole lot of these people, because it was only like 8 minutes from downtown.
So over the years, who's been in your house to party or to play music? So Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, Paul Simon, I think one time.
Yeah,
right?
he's been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we practiced there. He came up to my house after a party one night, and was there for 2 or 3 hours. He had some people up there, but I took him up to the 3rd floor, and I played him the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, because I had just written it about 2 weeks before.
Wow.
And I said, well, check this one out. And he sat and listened to it right through. I love their work. I've always loved Simon and Garfunkel's work.
Hang on
just
a sec,
that
though.
much.
Hang on a sec. So you played for him, Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, before basically anyone in the public had heard it, right?
Yeah, he was the first
He's
person
the Bridge
to
Over
note
Troubled
that
Water guy, right? So, I mean, he wrote one of those, I mean, so many great songs, but an epic song as well. What did he say when he heard Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald? What did Paul Simon say?
He said, I like it. You know, I like it. Gee, that sounds good.
So I'll finish with this. You seem like a contented guy. New album out, documentary celebrating your incredible career. You're still touring. What's left? Is there anything left on your to-do list?
No, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay. I want to stay happy. I want to stay happy. No matter what happens, I'm going to stay happy.
Well, I don't know that you fully appreciate how many people have been touched by your music and still are. And I've told you, they're songs of yours I can listen to in any circumstance at any time, and they just are moving. And it really is a remarkable thing. So it's really nice to have a chance to talk to you.
Thank you.
After the break, stand up for mental health.
My family actually has no history at all of any mental illness ever being discussed.
From stigma to comedic relief, we'll revisit the initiative that's more than a good laugh. The pandemic has taken a toll on a lot of Canadians' mental health. And for many, those kinds of issues are hard to talk about, let alone joke about. But a comedy club in Vancouver helps people do just that to help them heal. It's moved online during the pandemic, but before that, David Common brought us this look inside.
What's about to happen seems almost unbelievable.
We could never do it. And we have mental illness too, so I'm just very proud of us.
I'm proud of us too.
Just a few years ago, Wendy Lamb couldn't leave her house, and now
when it comes to our physical and mental health, we should speak up.
She's stepping on stage, joking about her own mental illness.
As a lifelong people pleaser, I need to start setting boundaries. So when my therapist insisted that I practice saying no, I adamantly refused.
I actually experienced sexual abuse. The trauma that I experienced, I sort of pushed down, It wasn't until I was 40 years old that I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't pretend to be okay and normal and put on a happy face for other people. Clara, this is my husband, Dennis.
Wendy needed help and found it not just in therapy, but also in something called Stand Up for Mental Health.
I can't believe that there aren't more programs like this to be able to look at our past experiences and our hardships in a different light. It's very freeing.
you get to tell the worst things about yourself, all those things that you're so ashamed of, and all of a sudden they just become great comedy material. And so
the program is the brainchild of David Grenier, an entrepreneur, comic, mental health counselor, and someone who struggled himself.
I've had my own mental health issues. I have depression, and I've been through everything: suicide attempts, hospitalizations. I'm on meds. I've done tons of therapy, and I just wanted to give people something different.
My family actually has no history at all of any mental illness ever being discussed.
The best compliment I ever had, heard two guys talking after a show, and one of them said, "That guy with schizophrenia was hilarious." And how often do you hear hilarious and schizophrenia in the same sentence?
If you think about it, though, it's really hard for a fish to commit suicide. It couldn't drown itself.
I always forget the punch to this one. I was like, so let's just go with it. And then because I've been staring at these lights for so long, then there's a circle here, and then I'm like...
Grenier has run the program for 15 years, trained 300 comics in that time. Not as a substitute for therapy, but as part of healing. His goal is simple: peel away the stigma.
So instead of the typical, oh, you know, they're weak, or they're weird, or they're dangerous, you see people who are funny, likable, friendly, all sorts of things that you wouldn't associate with mental health issues.
When I was 7, I was one of hundreds of Vietnamese refugees crammed onto a fishing boat. We shared a communal toilet and couldn't brush our teeth or bathe for 8 days. We weren't exactly fresh off the boat.
Tonight is Wendy's graduation from the 6-month program, where participants learn the craft of stand-up and hone their material.
It means a lot. I have been feeling like after tonight that I'm no longer the same person. And we talk about embarrassing or painful stuff. And it is a release to do that, but the most important thing is that we have people coming who are supporting us, and so we're actually feeling heard.
I'm also bipolar, by the way. That means that this is going to go one of two ways.
This program has proved so successful, it's being replicated in other countries, even after years of doing it. Each class, still a surprise for David.
I'm just left thinking, what an amazing thing. They're talking about stuff you're not supposed to say, but they're saying it, and we're laughing with them. And what could be better than that?
I'm not saying all Chinese people are bad drivers, but...
For the veterans, those who've been through the program and come out the other side, this remains a place of acceptance and understanding, confronting stigma under the spotlight.
To the 2019 graduating class for Stand Up for Mental Health Showcase.
David Coleman, CBC News, Vancouver.
Still ahead in our moment, what one BC man was able to achieve with a sailboat and the stars. But first, Buckingham Palace released photos of Princess Beatrice's wedding. The private ceremony took place on Friday at Windsor Castle. The Queen and Prince Philip posed for pictures with the couple while keeping distance, of course. Notably, Princess Beatrice's father, Prince Andrew, was not pictured in the photos. We'll be right back. It doesn't get more socially distant than this. A BC man just spent the last 9 months sailing the world around what mariners call the Great Capes entirely solo, without electronic navigational tools. He's the first North American to successfully do this, and after nearly 9 months at sea, Bert Tierhart returned home to Victoria yesterday. His emotional return is tonight's moment.
I was telling some folks back there what you said to me when I left, and I may not be smart, Dad, but I'm persistent. And you got to be persistent.
Yeah, never give up.
Never give up.
Yeah, you can't. You can't.
Imagine if you did something extraordinarily difficult, and everybody in the whole world was cheering you on, was pushing you to actually succeed. how powerful that is. And then you come back and it's completely virtual because I have no access to the internet. I have no access to social media. I felt that there was an opportunity for a Canadian to actually get into the record books as one of the very, very few people to go around the world using only traditional navigational equipment. And up to 2 years ago, only 2 people had done that.
Well, for the second moment in a row, we'll make reference to Canadian Border Services. On Friday, you might remember, they helped facilitate or at least allow that wedding of an American and Canadian right on the border. And in this case, 9 months solo at sea. Guess what? You don't have to isolate, quarantine for 14 days when you get back to Canada. He is free to move around British Columbia. That is The National for Sunday, July 19th. Good night.